You for me reading the urantia book. This is unscripted. I'm just going off based off the top of my dome. So I'm just gonna be real honest with you. Like the real reason why I read the urantia book is because it provides a lot of information that I really know. Now, if you're one of those type of people who have read the Bible two, three, no matter how many times, and you're still willing to be open minded, see, that's the key word. It's open minded, and if you still have a lot of questions, you're gonna go out and search for some more answers. And there's you can go so many ways about it. Now, how I got to the book, I'm not going to go into too many details with that because I don't want certain viewers to see this and think of whatever fucked up reasons they could come up with and say some stupid shit on the down below in the comments. But once I got a hold of the Urantia book, I'm gonna tell you straight up right now. Like when I got a hold of the Urantia book, I thought this is a weird ass book, but I was really intrigued about it because it has so much to it that I was just like, wow, like what if this really does have all the answers? So I kept on reading, right? And one of the first things that really brought me to this book was the fact that like I really wanted to know a lot about Satan because the Bible didn't really talk too much about the devil, and I didn't want people to misinterpret anything about the devil being the devil, whatever, being this, really, monstrous person with horns and anything. This put the silly stuff away because I'm 28 right now. This is 2016. Fuck the dumb shit. When I was getting into it, I was like 18 or about to be 19, right? So I was just like, okay, well, I really want to look into this. So I was introduced to it, eventually, the book, and I was reading the one where it talked about the difference between Satan and Lucifer, and then before that, you hear about Caligastia and this other character. I don't know who it is. Uh, so after that, I was like, I wonder how much more that this really have, and then I started reading about Adam and Eve, and I thought that was kind of a trip, but it was a really good story, so I kept on reading, right? So I thought, I'm not huge into history, but it's when I kept reading, it was like, wow, a lot of things in that book just made a lot of sense. So I kept on reading. So I was like, you know what? Why not read about the whole Jesus thing? So the first thing about Jesus' story was the whole like how he was, his first name was Michael, and how he was in council with Gabriel before he came onto this world, and yada 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 yada, right? So I was like, it's kind of weird, but as I kept on reading and reading and reading and reading, all the questions that I had in my head was being answered, right? So it wasn't until like I would have a question now, and as I kept on reading, maybe like 2 or 3 days down the road, it would be answered. I'd be like, oh wow, like how did it know I had that question in mind? But this book was meant to show you that like nothing has changed within the human DNA. Like we still like whatever the apostles were going through back then, we go through it right now. Like if you had all these questions, don't think that the apostles back then, the lack of the internet and all the good stuff that we have now, that they didn't think the way that we think now, because they had all the questions first, and here we come along about like 2,000 years later that we think that we, surpassed all that. No, like we have the same questions like they had back then, and you wouldn't know until you would really read the fucking book. Like, wow, like the shit makes sense. So, if you're wondering, like, who is this book meant for? I'm gonna tell you this right now. Like, I'm Latino. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't look like it. I may look more Asian to you. I don't know. Some of you guys may be able to tell right off the bat that I'm Latino. I'm dark. I'm a little brown skin, whatever. I got some tattoos. I used to be a drug addict and this and this and that. So, that being said, let's get that out the way. So, I was also into trippy stuff, right? So, but this right here, being one of those kind of books that might have been targeted towards hippies, might have been targeted towards people who are all into aliens. You read this book, right? And you keep on reading, no matter where you start, you keep on reading and give it about as much time as you need until it actually resonates in your head that, hey, this book is actually pretty heavy, right? So you start to wonder, like, whoa, like this book really got something going on. Like, what if this is the real fifth revelation? I have read the Bible almost 3 times. I'm talking about like the whole thing, right? I started reading the whole Bible when I was 15, and then again when I was 17, and then again, throughout my adult life, like little by little, whatever. So, and I thought I could prove a point, but you see, the thing is though, when you read the whole Bible, if you're not mature enough in the Bible, enough to interpret the whole thing, that's when you start asking way too many questions and you start to steer off the other way. I'm not trying to put the Bible down. No, I'm not. I am definitely not, because I have Christian brothers who love me a lot, okay, and I love them just the same. And it took me a lot of time to love them the way they love me. So that, with that out there, I want you guys to know that if you're reading the urantia book, I don't want you guys to think that it's going to replace the Bible. Because if you actually go back to the Bible and you read between the lines, then you start to think like, oh wow, these apostles really had something meaningful to say. So you can still go back to the Bible and get so much stuff out of it. You still can, yes. It's just that the urantia book will just flat out tell you without reading between the lines. Okay, there's no reading between the lines. There's no like clues or nothing like that. No, it's just simply like Jesus will say this thing, and then whoever is narrating the whole story will say this is what Jesus meant. All right, the Bible is simply a very intimate letter from these apostles, and you have to take that very serious, because these very same apostles, they loved the people during that time. They loved Jesus. They loved what they were doing. They sacrificed their life. Okay, you know how important that is? Would you sacrifice your life for a book? No, I don't think you would. I wouldn't. That would be, maybe I would. You know what? I'm 28 right now. By the time I'm 35, who knows? Who knows? I may be the head of a church during that time. Who knows? But lost my train of thought. But anyways, look, if you're reading the urantia book, just know this: you cannot share this with too many people. You really can't. Maybe with like 1 or 2 people at a time, whatever. Don't go as far as trying to tell people like the way other members of other denominations go around and talk about their religions. You can't do that. You really can't, because the reason why is because, one, if you really read the book and you pay attention, okay, you'll later realize you just don't want to you don't want to be in any confrontation. You don't want like any sort of discussion that can lead to an argument or can lead to any kind of disagreements, because that's not what it's meant for. It's really not, so leave it alone. If you're reading the book, it's simply for you. If the book happens to come along your way, it's meant for you for a good reason. It's not meant for anybody else. Okay, because if it was meant for somebody else, they would have had it. Okay, or they would have came to you and they would have said, "Hey, what are you reading? Like, can we share that book or whatever?" Like, that kind of stuff would have had happen. But other than that, no. If you're reading a book and you're wondering, like, how does this serve a purpose or anything, look, just read the book. That's it. Or go on YouTube and you can listen to the audio. That's what I do at nighttime. Is like, it serves a really good purpose. I love the audio. Okay, you don't have to go through the exact website and purchase the audio, which would benefit the foundation, but you can go to YouTube and listen to it as well. That's what I do, and I hope it doesn't get, you know, pulled down or anything like that just because I'm pointing it out. But okay, so with all that being said, guys, look, there's a lot of good things that is in the book. Okay, just pay attention, give it time. The most important part is you read Jesus's part. If you read Jesus's part, which pretty much makes about at least a quarter of the book, it will explain the whole book for you. Okay, if you could just start off with that and just give that a chance, then maybe you could read the rest of the book, or however you may feel. At least you could say, well, I gave it a try. And this guy on YouTube, whatever, he said just try with the whole Jesus part, from his birth all the way down to his resurrection or whatever. That's all. That's all I'm asking for. That's it. That's the real reason why I'm putting up this video. It's because if you're wondering whether you should read this book, or who's reading this book, or who this book is meant for, look, just read Jesus' part. That's it. You don't have to go anywhere else, because some of it I can't really understand. Straight out, you know, I really don't fucking understand. I don't. But Jesus' part, yeah, it's pretty badass. that's yo, stick with that. Anyway, so thank you for sparing your time to watch this video. I really appreciate it. And if you find something out that book, hey, more power to you. Much love, and this is your boy Louie. Thank you so much for tuning into this. You don't have to be my subscriber. Just good luck to you. Bye bye.